that's unfair about Major League Baseball's economic system isn't how many teams get to win the World Series. It's how many teams get how many cracks at it. Good morning to you. Good Wednesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Pirates. Comes your way bright and early every weekday morning. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins where you found this. The Texas Rangers are now, after last night, within one game of winning the franchise's first ever World Series. Now, I don't come close to caring about that, like in one direction or the other. However, I do care that after the fact, you're going to see, hear, and read countless things about how baseball has the better balance, the best balance of all four of the major professional sports because it has the most different number of recent champions. Since 2000, the Red Sox have won 4 World Series. San Francisco Giants 3, Astros, Cardinals, and Yankees 2 each, and the rest are all singles: Braves, Nationals, Dodgers, Cubs, Royals, Phillies, White Sox, Marlins, Angels, Diamondbacks. And that's a greater pool of diversity for a championship than the NFL, NHL, or NBA, all of which have salary caps. So this is the argument that these people, the ones who feel that baseball doesn't need a cap, love to put forth. Because their beloved Yankees or their beloved Dodgers or whoever, they spend so much and they have this God-given right to be in the World Series year after year, and they really should be winning it. But because they don't, they'll circle this and say, aha. Well, that's not how it works, okay? I have no problem with a handful of teams winning all the championships. I have no problem with a handful of teams in any sport being better than everybody else. What I'd like to see, and what seems to me to be both logical and fair, is that they'd all start from the same foundation. If the Patriots are going to win a zillion Super Bowls, let it be on merit. And no, I'm not getting into all that cheating and Spygate and all that other stuff here, but let it just theoretically be on merit. If the Penguins or the Red Wings or the Kings or the Blackhawks are going to win multiple Stanley Cups, fine. Let it be on merit. Let it be because they were smarter, they were better, or they got luckier in the draft, or whatever it is. And the same, to me, should go for every sport. What actually happens in baseball is that only a handful of teams for a long while would get into the playoffs, but somebody would either get super hot based on pitching, almost entirely based on pitching, and they would take off and they would win the World Series. And you'd have some really unusual heroes emerge, like a David Freese or whoever, but you'd also have, as the underpinning for that championship, pitching. Pitching is the single most fickle, dominant facet in all of North American sports. It just is. And it's always been that way. You don't know what you're going to get with it. You don't know what kind of injury statuses you're going to have because it's just an arm. It's an elbow. It's not designed to hold up the way, say, a leg is. And you end up with unpredictable results, such as these very Diamondbacks, your National League pennant winners, 84 victories on the regular season, a minus 14 run differential. That's why baseball has this pool of disparate World Series winners. Not because of the system being okay, not because of the system being fair. I'm not going to go through this part of it, but if you were to look at the list of playoff participants, teams that just made the playoffs in that same time span that I went over from 2000 onward, you would find that the same teams, for the most part, make it year after year after year after year. And nobody complains about it. Nobody ever writes a bunch of stories about it. Nobody ever does Scott Boris's bidding and makes a fuss over, whoa, it's such an unattractive World Series and wrong to have Arizona in it because they're not one of the money teams. Well, here's a news flash. The Rangers are one of the money teams. Texas's active payroll is $252 million. That is almost exactly double Arizona's active payroll of $128. The Rangers got real good real fast because they signed a bunch of players, Seager, Eovaldi, Scherzer, DeGrom, Gray, Semien, to a combined value of contracts of $637 million through 2031. That's not some fairy tale. That's not something that gives you hope. When we come back, J1Q.
This portion of Daily Shot of Pirates is brought to you by our friends at North Shore Tavern, that's directly across Federal Street from PNC Park. It's home of Steak on a Stone, an eating experience, underscoring the word experience. The steak is brought to you partially cooked on an 800-degree stone, and you do the rest. It's a ton of fun, it's a great meal, and it's a baseball atmosphere like no other in Pittsburgh. North Shore Tavern, right across Federal Street from PNC Park.
Your front door, your car, your bike, your computer, your gun. Safety is a habit. Every day you lock and secure your home and everything you want to keep safe. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Visit ProjectChildSafe.org. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Today's J1Q comes from Kevin, who says, DK, you've reported that Bob Nutting mandated better player development because he was tired of watching Pittsburgh players get better elsewhere. If that's true, how can he not speak up watching this staff and how they've butchered their own prospects? Does anyone doubt that Rowanzi Contreras or Quinn Priester could go someplace else and become the next Joe Musgrove? Just imagine if Paul Skeens loses his velocity by June. Kevin, to address the first part of your question, yeah, I did report that. That was back in, when was the change made? Late 2019? Yeah, the changing of the front office. That was something that Nutting told me directly on the record. I have it on video and everything. So yes, it's true. He did not like seeing players go elsewhere, like Garrett Cole, Charlie Morton, Tyler Glasnow, a bunch of examples, but especially pitchers. That's the part that really rankled him. He felt like there's no reason for that part of it to not happen in Pittsburgh. And he's right. He's right. I will occasionally pick up somebody saying, why don't the Pirates spend more money on coaching and instruction and everything? I got to tell you, everything I've ever heard is that the Pirates pay industry norm or above industry norm. You just get the wrong people, or they have the wrong philosophies in place. I believe the latter happens to be the case with the hitting coach, and I just think that their pitching coach was oversold as some sort of biomechanical expert when I've never seen a pitching coach with this team, the Pirates, preside over so many people losing velocity. That was supposed to be the one thing Oscar Marin could really do. So you're asking, does Nutting see this? Does he have a feeling about it or whatever? Yes, he's seen it. Yes, he's aware of it. But it takes a lot to move this guy to significant action, as we saw following 12 full years of Frank Coonelly, Neil Huntington, and Kyle Stark. 12 full years. Why is that? I've shared this one many, many times on here, Kevin, and I'm guessing you're not going to be new to this, but he's an over-delegator. It's one of his great failings, I believe, as owner. Things that he just really, really feels strongly about, he'll hold them in. Because, and he's told me this directly, as soon as he loses the ability to trust the people who are running the show to make the right calls themselves, that's when it's time to make a change. Well, that's a pretty high bar to make a change. And also, I think, an unnecessary bar. You don't have to do that. You can come in, you can have your own thoughts. You don't have to pretend that you're, some sort of baseball guru, but you can say, hey, wasn't this kid throwing 98 just like a year ago? Is he hurt? No. Is he unhappy or something? No. What happened to him? We don't know. Well, isn't that kind of a problem? That's the kind of conversation you can have. You're a boss. You're running a company. You don't have to be an expert on everything. You don't have to be someone who's sticking their nose in every part of every business. You don't have to be a micromanager to function that way. And I really, really, really don't like that about his management style. And I could give you countless examples of this. Everyone gets on Nutting for payroll. And I get that. They do spend less than what they could. It's not egregiously less, but it's less. That isn't on my top 10 list for why he's not a good sports owner. This, on the other hand, what I'm talking about here is number bleeping one. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. Gonna do another one of these tomorrow.